I'm Belia Sarenas, retiree, senior citizen. Kasi panay bata eh. Ang tanong ko po, what can an ordinary person, student, housewife, no, farmer, whatever, do every day para ho makatulong? Like, I know climate change is affected by basura, no? So ano po yung mga practical everyday na magagawa ng bawat may bahay para makatulong to avoid it or to lessen its effects?
Thank you for that question. Number one is we know that the Philippines is one of the highest in cost in terms of electricity. The first thing we can do is please unplug all your gadgets when you're not using it, because even if you're not using it and it's still plugged, it's really eating electricity. You're not only helping us in mitigating greenhouse gases, but you're also saving on cost. Two things. Second, in basura, we have a tendency, as I've said, please be conscious about throwing your trash. Because when they find themselves in the rivers, in the lakes, we know that rain will be more than usual. You're actually contributing to clogging these waterways. There's two things. And of course, they said they buy local. There are simple things like buying local, buying organic. All these green things that you've been hearing is actually simple ways of contributing to addressing climate change. And we have a website, Top 10 Things, which Bianca Gonzalez is our speaker every time she does our Generation Summit. Si Bianca po ang nagsishare niyan kasi she has 2 million Twitter followers, and she's very effective in that way. And it would be great if you could also look at the top 10 things that...
What is the website again, ma'am, if they want to visit?
www.climate.gov.ph.
Okay, climate.gov.ph. Great.
Next. Yes, ma'am. And then the third one.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Cordova. This is not actually a question. This is actually an information I'd like to bring to you because you're from the climate change. And I'd like to share with you that the Davao City has its own achievements on, making the people realize the effects of climate change. Recently, the City Council approved, if you're coming, I'm sure you came from the airport, so on your way here, you must have seen the Shrine Hills. It's the stretch of Green Mountain. I do not know if you've seen it, but it's a stretch of Green Mountain, the only remaining greenery in Davao City. And recently, the City Council approved the rezoning of that hill to be classified an ecologically protected area, because there were two developers who were trying to build subdivisions in that hill. And it's also a success of social media, because I just realized now that a lot of people have worked together to make it possible. We were fighting two big giants in the development industry, and many people think we wouldn't have the success in, asking the city to declare it as a protected area. But we did after 4 years, and especially because they realized the effects of climate change in Davao City. So I think it's just for your information.
Congratulations,
Yes,
you should be replicated. In fact, if there's one appeal I'd like to make, we have already existing multi-hazard maps. Wherever you are, we can help you identify those, so that these developers also sometimes they don't look at these maps. In fact, one major developer, which I will not name, approached me the other day and admitted that they bought several properties in Cebu and in some areas in Mindanao, that they're experiencing a lot of problems and flooding, and they said if we only consulted this before, we could have avoided this problem. So we have the multi-hazard and geohazard maps. There are good sources of information, but they're very technical, but we will help you simplify this so that we can be able to rally our community, especially if we feel that this area is not fit for development. Congratulations, Davao.
Great work, Davao.
Last question.
Okay, while we're waiting for this gentleman to approach the microphone, You can watch the live stream of SHIFTDavao on Rappler.com, and if you have any questions or comments, don't forget to use the hashtag SHIFTDavao. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. I am Seminarian Marlon J. Cabasi from the Society of the Divine Word. And so we all know that as scientists, we are people, we have these activities, and we are always blamed to what's the effect of our action is. This is global warming. And we have this scientist, as we say. Then what's the work then of the scientists? What are they doing? What are they doing to prevent or to lessen the blanket of the earth? Aside from, yes, we know that the government is giving much information with this global warming. Then what the other thing, what's the action of the scientist to do with this global warming, ma'am? Thank you.
A lot, actually. And if only this information, the geohazards and multi-hazard maps were available to us before, we could have avoided the cost of damage to the country. You know, our budget increased by almost 26% since 2008 on climate change-related programs. In the Climate Change Commission, I would be happy with that increase. That's 26%. But when I look at the quality of the expenditure, 80 to 90% of the expenditure because of rehabilitation and reconstruction. On the reduction side, we're very weak. So what I'm saying is, if we have been doing this proactively with the help of science before, we could have avoided this cost. But nonetheless, these are now made available to us. We need to capacitate our local government because it's difficult. You know, I'm not saying that most of our mayors, governors, are not really elected based on their expertise on science. So what we're saying is we need to help them understand this, and because they all want to address this anyway. So the science is really important. We know that, example, every time there's a typhoon, something happens, they blame Pag-asa. In fairness to Pag-asa, they actually just generate this data. And when they generate this data, it is actually the local official who would determine, based on the characteristics of their area, what would be the possible impact of this rainfall centimeter. But when it happens, it's blamed on Pag-asa. Now we're losing a lot of good people in Pag-asa, and there's now a brain drain. Even one already retired, went to Qatar when there's only 2 rains in a day and in a year, patak-patak pa. But he's paid, 5 times more than what they're paying. But he's been there long before. What we're saying is we have really good people. Our academic institutions are probably one of the best in Southeast Asia. I don't know why we're not tapping them. And I'm now got that attention. I will surely tap that expertise. In fact, I already signed a memorandum agreement with UP system, the whole UP system. We have a MOA with Xavier University for Cagayan de Oro, together with Iligan, MSU. And now also we're working with Silliman University. So these are the kinds of expertise that, that can help us, and probably not as expensive than hiring experts abroad.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's all the time we have for questions.
More questions, we'll do that after or during the lunch break because we still have 2 more speakers. Okay. Ladies and